Landon and friends talking. You'll never know who's on next. Creative ideas are brewing from every single guest. So listen and learn along, don't worry, we're almost done with the song. So wherever you're at, put your troubles aside and sit on back, cause here comes Landon Live.
Hey guys, welcome back to Landon Live. My name is Landon Harvey, and I am so excited for this episode. I'm 22 years old, so if you're around or near my age, today's guest will truly strike a chord with you. We know him as the mastermind behind our childhoods. He created Nickelodeon series favorites such as the Fairly OddParents, Danny Phantom, T.U.F.F. Puppy, and Bunsen Is a Beast. He currently has a new project out called The Garden. Ladies and gents, please let me welcome animator, writer, producer, director, and voice actor, Butch Hartman.
Wow, I'm going to have you write all of my intros from now on. That was great, man. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time and being here. We really appreciate it.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm more than honored. Glad to be here. I love the purple wall. That is extremely cool. Now, is that part of your, like, is your whole house purple, like a cartoon character, or just that one section of your room?
You know, it's just my brand. Everything is purple brick because I do stand up and I'm off the wall kind of ventriloquist, so everything's purple brick with my brand. So gotta stay consistent, like you do with your all your work behind you there. So
well, yeah. Well, this is somebody else's room. I just move in here on occasion. I don't really fit that much. We were talking before the show. I did some ventriloquism when I was younger as well. I really was into it. I had a bird puppet. He was a parrot. He was a big green parrot with a giant bill, and his name was Milo. His name was Milo the bird, and it was, anyway, Milo's in a closet somewhere, but I gave it up.
Has that character ever surfaced into some of your other work?
No. That was like when I was younger. I was a cartoonist at the time. I was younger and I was drawing, and I loved all kinds of things with character, whether it was ventriloquism, whether it was cartoons, puppets. I loved Sesame Street as a kid. I used to love that stuff, really fascinated by the Muppet Show and anything with a character in it. So yeah, that was just a passing phase.
Sure. Well, where did your drawing style originate? Was it inspired? Like, what inspired this style, and was the style of drawing easier to animate than things that you'd worked on in the past?
Well, it's interesting when you work in animation, when you get into the, like, let's say, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, the Hollywood system or whatever, when you finally make your way out to Hollywood and you work in the animation industry or whatever industry you're in, but animation especially, you're going to get hired on somebody else's show. You're going to get hired to draw a Disney princess, or hired to draw, a Muppet Baby or something like that, something that somebody else has already designed. So you're going to have to go in and know how to do that style, how to mimic that style, because you're really just a cog in the machine. Everyone's glad you made it here. Hey, we're glad you're here, but at the end of the day, we've got to get a show made. And can you help me get that show made? It's almost like, I would say, it's like being in a band. I'm not going to pull you into my band and have you learn guitar while we're in front of an audience. You need to go off and practice in your garage and learn the guitars. By the time you get in front of the audience, you can play the guitar. It's like that. You need to be good at what you do. And then when you finally get that job, we're glad you're here, but you're going to get better and make the show. And then hopefully in success, we can all get better.
Wow. So were you already prepared to draw and do your art in various styles when you first pitched for your first project, or when you first got in the scene? How did that even work?
No, I mean, here's the thing. When I was, because are you 22, you said?
Yes, sir.
I'm much older than you, but when I was 22, when I first got out here, I went to college when I was 18. I went to Cal Arts in Valencia, California, and they were the only school in the country that, at the time, one of the only schools that was teaching a character animation program. And so I made my way out to California, got into this animation program at age 18. And I was like one of the best artists in my little town in Michigan. But when you get to a college like that with all these other artists, it's like being in the major leagues in baseball. It's like everybody's amazing. And you go like, wow, either I'm going to have to get better or go back home. and so I really had no choice. I really wanted to get better and I wanted to learn. And so I just really forced myself to get better. Now, I'm still not the best artist that's ever lived. Of course, there's people way better than me, but I'm way better than I used to be. And I draw every day still to this day. I mean, I'm always trying to get better and hone my craft. And I encourage all young people like you, don't ever give up. Just keep going. You're definitely not as good as you'll be 10 years from now, but keep going.
Wow. That's wonderful. how do you protect your ideas and concepts before, during, and after pitching? Does it differ if you're new or a long-term player in this industry?
No, it doesn't differ at all. But I would caution people to not worry about people stealing your stuff. Don't worry about that. Go out there.
Really?
If you get a meeting with somebody like that's a legit meeting, an exec or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's in their best interest to not steal your idea. Because if you've made it into a Disney office or a Nickelodeon office, they know they can get sued like crazy if they steal your idea. They really aren't trying.
Even if you're like a nobody?
Yeah, and listen, people aren't, if your idea is that great, right? It's in their best interest to want to work with you. They're going to really want to work with you. Now, if you're a nobody, you probably won't make as much money as a somebody will, but
Right.
you're going to have to learn the ropes and learn how to have representation, smart people around you, a lawyer, an agent, all that stuff. If you're really that good, if your stuff is that good, they'll find you. They'll find you. I've met countless people that fold their arms and say, I'm never going to pitch because my ideas will all get stolen. I go, well, then go make your idea on your own. Now, see, when I was your age, there was no YouTube. Now there's YouTube. You want to make something, go make it on YouTube and see if people like it. That's what I say. I mean, I encourage people to do that now anyway. Make it on YouTube, build an audience, or TikTok or whatever. That's how you and I met, on TikTok.
Right. Yeah.
Make it on TikTok and see if it goes well, because you've got no excuse anymore. Everyone's got, one of these fancy little phone devices in their hand, and they can make anything really. So back when I was your age, I had to go knock on the door of a giant gate, a studio with a Wizard of Oz guard standing there. Yes, can I help you? The emperor will not see you now, and you had to kind of walk away, but it's different now.
Wow. So would you recommend finding someone that is kind of a somebody and not leeching, but like reaching out and saying, hey, I have this idea, and then using that, or just go the social media route and try to reach that organic audience and kind of grow from there?
I'll answer that in 1 second. Let me go back to the protecting thing. The way to protect your stuff is to you have a lawyer or an agent, and if you're going to partner with anybody, you have a contract with them. Yeah, but I want to make a show with my best friend. I don't care if they're your best friend. If they're your best friend, let's say you guys are best, super great, awesome, best pals for life, and then you make a show about a cat and a bunny or whatever, and then you sell the cat and the bunny to whoever, and now there's money, right?
Right.
Cat and bunny making money. So it's like, now who gets the money? Who gets money? How do we split this money? You probably did most of the work because you're the talented one in the group. You're the one who did all the drawing, and maybe you wrote a little bit of it, and your friend couldn't make it to half the meetings. Anyway, bottom line is always have a contract with anybody you work with. And if you're someone who writes and you don't draw, and you're doing an animated show and you want someone to do drawings for you, don't say this. I'll give you half my show if you draw me this picture. Don't say that ever. Don't ever say that. You say, here's $50, draw me this picture, and then that person goes away and they sign a piece of paper. Don't ever trust anybody in that situation is all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to protect you in that way.
Sure.
So now going to your next question, do you need to hire? Is it better to get with somebody? It is good to get with somebody, but the somebody better think you can help them. You know what I mean? A lot of people aren't going to do it out of the goodness of their heart. They're going to be like, well, Landon, you're talented, but how can you enhance this project and bring it? How will me bringing Landon on get this deal closed at Disney or Nickelodeon or wherever,
Right. You as a newbie have to display and tell them what your value is in working with you.
Oh no, absolutely. As a newbie, my friend, and it's, you're not going to be a newbie forever, but as a newbie, you go in there. And the way I got in was I was hired, I was working as an artist in many different studios. So I was in a building with other people, seeing how the shows were made. I was working on shows. I was meeting the writers. So if you can get into a building, I always encourage people, get an internship program going, get a job as an assistant, sweep the floors, do the mailroom. If you can get into the building, you're going to meet and know a lot of people. That's how all of this works in this business. There's really you do not need a degree to sell a show or run a studio or even to get a job as an artist. You just don't need a degree.
Wow. Well, with that, can you share with us how you first got into Nickelodeon?
I got into Nickelodeon because I was working at, this is back in the late 90s now. You probably weren't even born then. Wait, when you were born? You were born,
2000.
Oh my gosh, you're born in 2000. Oh my God. So long ago, Landon. You're older than the iPod, though. I think you're a little older than the
Hey,
iPod. I think they came
I'll
out
take
that
it.
year. I think. Yeah. No, but I got into Nickelodeon because I was working at Hanna-Barbera at the time, which is the studio that made the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby Doo, and they were just becoming Cartoon Network at the time. I was working there on the Johnny Bravo show, and they were allowing people in the studio to pitch their own ideas, which was a very rare thing to do back in those days. So I actually, with a couple of friends, pitched a few ideas. They actually got some traction. We were making some short cartoons of our own, original cartoons. They weren't very good, but we were making them. They had some potential here and there. But then the guy who was running Hanna-Barbera at the time, his name was Fred Seibert, dear friend of mine, wonderful guy. He was running Hanna-Barbera Cartoon Network Studios at the time over there. He left to go to Nickelodeon. And then he said, hey, do you want to come over here and pitch a show to me over here? And I said, sure. I'll never forget. Johnny, he called me earlier in the year and said, you want to come over? I'm making a show called the What a Cartoon Show on Nickelodeon. And that What a Cartoon Show was basically a half hour, and you'd watch the What a Cartoon Show. You would see 3 different cartoons by 3 different people, like 3 original cartoons. He goes, I have one. He goes, I got a few slots left. I said, no, I'm working on Johnny Bravo. I really can't come over right now. And he goes, okay. So later in the year, Johnny Bravo was ending, and I was going to be out of a job. And I called my friend Fred. I go, hey, Fred, it's Butch. He goes, oh, hey, got any ideas? I got 1 slot left. And I said, yep, I got a great idea. I go, when can I come in? He goes, come in Thursday. This was like Tuesday. He goes, you got an idea? I go, yep, I got a great idea. I'll see you Thursday. Hung up the phone. I had no idea. I had nothing. I'm like, what do I do? Oh my gosh. And I went, I'm just going to create a show right now. I'm going to sit here and do something. I'd been dabbling in show creation at that time, like coming up with my own. I was tired of working for people and always having to find another job. So finally I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And I said, okay, little boy. I used to be a little boy. I know how they think. I'll draw a little boy. So I drew Timmy Turner for the very first time. And then I sat and I'm like, I need to give him some kind of a power, some kind of a special ability. Maybe I'll give him magic powers, maybe science powers. I'll give him science powers. But I couldn't do science because Dexter's Laboratory was already a show. And I went, I can't do science. But I could do magic. Magic's kind of cool. Magic science, that's kind of a different thing. So I thought maybe I'll give Timmy magic powers. And there was this new book that just came out called Harry Potter. And I went, make my little Harry Potter. And I went, no, if I give him the powers, I can never really limit him that much. Maybe I'll give him a magic friend that he has to find on occasion, and he always can't find them, so things go crazy. So I gave him this little woman with curly hair, and I called her Venus. I said, it's a fairy godmother named Venus. It's like Cinderella, a boy Cinderella. I went, okay, that's kind of cool. And I went, okay, but I've never seen a fairy godfather before. So I drew Venus's husband, and I called him Cosmo. Because Seinfeld had just released Kramer's first name, and it was Cosmo Kramer. And I thought, Cosmo is a really funny name. And I thought, that's a really funny name. I'm going to put that on there. So I named him Cosmo, and then I crossed out the name Venus. I didn't like Venus, and I called her Wanda because of Magic Wand. So Magic Wand, I called Wanda and Cosmo and Timmy. And this took about 15 minutes. I drew that on. And then I was like, I'm not even kidding. I'm not lying about that at all. Then I'm like, I go, okay, so I need to he's got to have a bad guy in the show. Who's the bad guy? I go, what if it's a bad girl? What if it was an evil girl that was in his life? And so I came up with this evil babysitter named Vicky. And then I came up with Timmy, Cosmo, and Vicky in like the space of 20 minutes. And then went and I pitched that show to Fred over at Nickelodeon on Thursday. And they bought the very first episode. It was just called I called it the Fairy Godparents. I didn't know what to call it at the time. And I said, I made one short cartoon, and Fred loved it. I made a storyboard of it. Then Nickelodeon loved it. They loved the storyboard, and they went, we should do more of these. So they gave me like 4 more shorts to do. And I was just pretty much just me and like 2 other people making the Fairly OddParents at this time. And it was just a short cartoon on the What a Cartoon Show at this time.
How long was this cartoon?
About 7 minutes long.
7 minutes. And so when you pitched it to them for the first time, like, well, I mean, did you have a treatment? Was it like a couple, like a synopsis or what?
I'd been a writer at the time. I was working on Johnny Bravo as a writer. I worked with a young man named Seth MacFarlane. Maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah.
And Seth and I were pretty good pals back then. He ended up selling Family Guy. I sold Fairly OddParents. But anyway, that's a different story. But I ended up writing a script for Fairly OddParents. I wrote my first script. I wrote it. I wrote it on this computer called a Mac Performa. I brought a brand new Mac back then called a Mac Performa. Wrote my script, took it in. I didn't have the whole storyboard done when I first pitched it. I had like maybe 10 or 11 drawings done, and I just pitched it myself. And we're like, great, let's make it. Then we made 4 more, then 6 more. I made about 11 Fairly OddParents cartoons by myself almost. And then they focus tested it, and we made it, and it went great. And then we made it a series, and it premiered in 2001, the year you were born. Oh, you were a year old when it premiered.
I was a year old, yeah.
Yeah.
That
You were
is
just a young ventriloquist
wild.
puppet at the time.
Yeah. My social media guy is a jackalope, so I have to kind of warn you for this. But he does have a couple. What we did was we put it out on our social media, and Jackie drew some questions. So he's gonna pop up and help me ask some of these to you, and we'll do kind of like a speed kind of question thing.
So I'm about to meet a jackalope for the first time in my life.
Yes, for the very first time in your life.
I'm excited. Now I've never had this happen. I'm glad this is being filmed.
Yes, I'm here. It's exciting.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, is that Butch Hartman? It is.
What's your name, jackalope?
I'm Jackie Lope, like jackalope, right? Yes, it's memorable, right? Yes. So you have some questions. I do. Likewise.
All I have, I'm going to talk back with. Hold on, I have a Timmy Turner bobblehead. I'll talk back with the Timmy Turner bobblehead.
Oh, cool.
Jackalope, do you like that?
I like that. Yeah. Now, he's nodding. I can nod along.
Now, Jackalope, Jackie, how old are you? I know Landon's 22. How old are you, dude?
We haven't figured that out yet. He's kind of I kind of play around with his age depending on what audience I perform with, which kind of allows him to be malleable like that.
Got it. So, you know what? I'm gonna a little side note here because I'm so much older than you. I used to love Jay Johnson. You know who Jay Johnson is?
Yeah, I'm friends with Jay.
I am a huge fan of Jay Johnson, and I used to love him on Soap with Bob and Chuck.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah, we're having him on the podcast at the convention actually because he is a director there. So we're gonna chat with him this year.
Oh, great!
Yeah,
he was so great back in the '70s on Soap.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Jay Johnson, by the way. So Jackie has some questions. I do. So this is on Instagram, and our third ventriloquist on Instagram asks, "What was the casting process like for the Fairly OddParents, and what caught your ear in the auditions?"
Well, that's a very good question, Jackie. What was the casting process like? The casting process was pretty interesting. You've got a kid named Timmy Turner, a boy, young boy's 10 years old. Then you have Cosmo and Wanda, and you've been thinking about this show for months and months and months. You're finally getting it made. You're like, wow, who can possibly do this? And then back in those days, you'd have actual people come in and audition for you. I mean, now they will send auditions in on the internet, and you'll listen to them on digitally. But people would actually come and stand in front of you at a microphone. And we had a bunch of unknowns come in at the time. We had a lady come in named Tara Sharondoff, who came in to read for Timmy Turner, who would later be known as Tara Strong. And she did not get the part of Timmy Turner at first. No, I gave the part of Timmy Turner to a lady named Mary Kay Bergman. And Mary Kay, who did the very first, all the animated pilot, all the original Fairly OddParents episodes I did, Mary Kay did a great job, did Timmy Turner. And then Mary Kay ended up passing away, sadly. And so when we made the show into a series, I remember Tara's audition, and I was like, Tara, would you please come in and take over for Timmy? So she came in and took over for Timmy. Has done an incredible job ever since, of course. Tara's so talented. Yeah. And then Cosmo, this insane person came in named Darren Norris. And I really wanted, when I first auditioned for Cosmo, I wanted him to be like Phil Hartman on Saturday Night Live. He's sort of like Troy McClure, like this. And I wanted him to be sort of like, hey, I'm Troy McClure. That's kind of how Cosmo was. He was sort of a kind of a car salesman. And so
did you think of this when you first drew him out, or did this idea of what Cosmo would become later?
No. He the original concept of Cosmo was kind of the used car salesman, kind of a shady guy.
Yeah.
And then as the series went on, over the years, and I was very blessed and fortunate to keep doing the show as many years as I did. Cosmo kind of went from this, he went all the way up to a total moron like this. Oh my gosh, what an idiot. And so he just got dumber and dumber and dumber as the years went by. And then a beautiful lady named Suzanne Blakesley came in and just knocked it out of the park as Wanda. Talking like this. And then Gray Delisle came in and did the voice of Vicky. And Gray at the time, it was funny, Gray, who's so talented, and Tara's so talented. I mean, they're all immensely talented people. But I'm young at the time. And at the time, Gray came in and auditioned for Timmy, Wanda, and Vicky and did such a great job. I was like, man, I could give all 3 parts to her. But then I realized, if I did that and then somehow Gray couldn't do the show, like if Gray got sick or something or left town, I wouldn't have a show. So I was like, well, I'll give her the part of Vicky. And then I've also I put Gray in every other one of my shows. She's been on Danny Phantom, and she's been in T.U.F.F. Puppy as well. And in fact, all these characters, all these people have been in my shows in various times too, as different parts.
Wow, that's wonderful. What has been your experience navigating the industry as a Christian?
Oh, thanks. Well, it's interesting. It's not a bad experience, really. But when you tell people you're a Christian sometimes, because I used to be the same way, too. When people tell me they were a Christian, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But being a Christian in Hollywood has been a little challenging sometimes because you suddenly realize in your heart there's certain types of storytelling you don't want to do anymore. You don't want to do maybe, let's say, the adult type comedy stuff or the R-rated stuff and things like that. And, I really wanted to start telling, and I've always kind of been this way anyway, but I really started curbing my sense of humor a lot. My main thing too, is I had my own kids too. I started having my own kids, and you have these little people in your house all day long. And if I write something that's kind of risque or kind of, let's say adult, for lack of a better word, or R-rated, I can't share that with them. And I don't want to have a show where I can't share it with my own kids. So I really realized that I really realized that, I'm going to do stuff that's sort of, PG or G-rated. And I'm just going to try and be the best example of a person I can. I'll try to be, because Christian means Christ-like. You try and be the most Christ-like person you can. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I do my best to be as good a person as I can be. And, I try and share positive things with people all the time. So, yeah, navigating through Hollywood as a Christian isn't really that hard. It's just, it's like anything. It's a challenge. It's a challenge with any sort of belief, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Wow. Did you ever use your kids as like a sounding board for any of your ideas?
Jack, that's a great question. Maybe Jack should be the host of this, and you should be the ventriloquist puppet, Landon.
That's what I've been saying for years. Yeah. Okay.
No, you know what? I did use my kids a couple of times. My daughter, Carly and Sophia, have both appeared in Fairly OddParents as various characters. And Carly even gave me an idea for a show about snow once. Daddy, I want you to do a show about snow. So we actually did an episode where Timmy and Vicky get trapped in a snow cave, and they're trapped and they can't get out, and they get rescued by the abdominal snowman.
Oh, that's great.
He delivers pizzas. He's like, hey, I'm the abdominal snowman. He's got these like great abs, man,
Bex Otto on Instagram asks, serious question. During your career, what project are you most proud of and why?
What project am I most proud of and why? Well, gosh, my latest project I'm very proud of. Listen, I'm proud of all my projects. I mean, Fairly Odd was great because it ran for so long. We had such a great time working on that. Danny Phantom, dream come true. I got to make my own comic book character come to life. T.U.F.F. Puppy, one of the funniest shows I've ever worked on in my life. And Bunsen Is, my 4th show, only lasted 1 season, but we had such a blast making that show. I'm super proud of everything I've done. The most proud, I think, right now is the cartoon I'm doing now called The Garden, which is a Bible cartoon for kids. There's not very many Christian cartoons out there for kids to teach them the Bible. Because I grew up in a house when I was a kid that didn't have any God in the house. Nobody taught me anything about God or Jesus or anything. And so as a result, I didn't really know anything about the Bible growing up. And I really wanted to make it a mission in life to teach kids what the Bible is all about once I began learning about it. And so The Garden is this brand new show I have that will help teach kids the Bible. It's really funny. It's got a lot of Fairly OddParents type jokes in it. And by the way, it teaches scripture too. I think it's more funny than it is teaching, but it does teach too. And it's really, really great. I think homeschool parents, pastors, youth pastors will like it. And it really fills a gap in that Christian kids market, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. By subscribing to thegardencartoon.com, viewers can watch the first episode, which I enjoyed because it's captivating, uplifting, and it shares the Lord's message without being too like layered on too thick, or like how you see some of these other projects are kind of overdone. And so I really,
Yes, you watched it, man. You watched it. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Did
it
you
was, I'm a Christian and I really enjoyed it because I grew up on VeggieTales and all that. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And listen, VeggieTales is amazing. And I went, we can't just have VeggieTales. There's got to be something else out there, you know. And
right, exactly. Yeah.
I hope you found it entertaining, and I hope you liked it. I'm really glad.
I did, and I thought it was neat how you really knew how to properly write to your audience. Especially as I'm figuring out how to write in my style, and as you go as a writer in this, you really kind of figure out over the years. You really knew, okay, this is for kids, but this is what I want to include some scripture, but I want to have this message, and I want it to be entertaining. I mean, it has such a great blend that really kind of transitions well through each episode. Can you share what drove you to create that project, and where can people go to support that?
Well, thanks for asking, Landon. That's a great question. I'm real excited because our first garden album just came out today, the day we're recording this. Our first album came out. We have 8 songs out that are out, and we're really thrilled about that. And people can go to gardencartoon.com. And here's what's really cool. On April 1st, we have a big, giant event happening, and we're going to be announcing the launch of our garden app and the launch of our garden children's Bible, plus the launch of the show. The show is out, but we're going to have a big launch for the show. And we'll be doing it at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. on April 1st. So we got the app, the Bible, and the show all being announced. We're super, super thrilled. If you go to gardencartoon.com, you can be part of our app launch team. Well, I'd love you to be part of the launch team. You're going to get some free gifts. And all we ask you to, it doesn't cost you a thing. It's absolutely free. And all we want you to do is share news about the app and try out the app. And we want to know what you think about it.
That's wonderful. Are the episodes on the app, or are the episodes you get to view those elsewhere?
The episodes will be on the app. In fact, there's about 6 episodes out there streaming right now, but the app is going to have way more episodes. It's going to have episodes you can't find anywhere else. We're going to have the episodes. We have songs. We have a curriculum, a Bible curriculum. Like if you watch a show about sharing or giving or whatever, then if you're a teacher, you can then watch a show and then go into the curriculum and ask your kids all the questions about what the show was about, what it meant, and everything. It's kind of a one-stop shop for home entertainment for kids.
That's wonderful. So when you were writing this, did you have to base out all that curriculum? Like these, the first 3 episodes, we're going to cover this, or is it kind of on this episode, we're going to compartmentalize it and cover this and use, these scriptures. And then on the second one,
we go for the story first. Like, what's a cool story? Okay. Lenny and Lucy find a buried treasure chest. Okay, great. And this pirate character comes in and helps them find it. Oh, that's cool. Okay. And the pirate's really greedy. And through the scriptures, through Luke 6:38, he learns, give and it shall be given to you. Instead of keeping all the money for himself, he learns how to give it for someone else. Okay, great. And then we got Luke 6:38, which is a great scripture. Like, okay, how do I write a song about that? Here we go. If you want to be my first mate, go read Luke 6:38. Then you start coming up with rhymes and things like that. So the songs really apply to the scriptures that are in the show.
If you could give advice to your 15-year-old self, what would it be?
I just did this to myself on TikTok the other day. They have the teenage filter, and I tried it. I look like you, actually. I looked like you.
Oh.
I put it on my face, and I was like, "Go buy Bitcoin. Buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can." No. What I would give to myself, the message I'd give to myself, besides the Bitcoin, I said, don't be afraid to take those risks, and don't be afraid to take those chances. Work harder than you've ever worked in your life, not to where it's a grind, but where you love it so much. See, people always ask me, they say, "What's your hobby?" And I say, "I don't have a hobby." They go, "Everyone's got a hobby." I go, No, listen, I live my hobby every day. This is my hobby. A hobby is something that, I guess you don't have to do. Like, I put it the wrong way. I think eating is my hobby. Like I do it because I have to, but like this is my life's work. I mean, I love doing this every day. I'll do this until I'm not here anymore. I love drawing, I love writing, I love creating, I love writing music. I love creating characters. I love doing social media. I love doing all that stuff. So I'm always going to keep doing it. So that's what I love to do. And I tell my 15-year-old self, keep doing it. Oh, and by the way, invest in Bitcoin and create this thing called Instagram. Here's how you do it. And I tell myself how to do that.
Okay, Ethan Hunter on Facebook asks, how did the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour come to be?
Wow. The Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. Okay, it's kind of a no-brainer. Here, I'm in the studio, working every day on the Fairly OddParents, and then the Jimmy Neutron guys are right down the hall working on Jimmy Neutron. You meet in the kitchen for coffee. You meet in the kitchen to get a muffin or whatever, and it's like, wait, you've got a lead character named Jimmy. I've got a lead character named Timmy. One's into science, one's into magic. What are we, idiots? We have to do this. So, we thought about the idea and then we pitched it to the Nickelodeon executives. They're like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Let's do it. So then we thought of the idea. Let's not just combine them, but let's have them cross worlds. Let's have Timmy, the 2D animated character, go into Jimmy Neutron's, CG world, and have Jimmy CG go into Timmy Turner's 2D world. Oh my gosh, this is great. And then the story just kind of erupted from there. And that was a massive hit, that show. That was I think it had like Super Bowl size ratings or something. It was pretty big.
Wait, so when you're writing an episode, is it just you or is it like a group of writers? And then when you did the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, was it like both of you guys combined, or how did that work?
Good question. When you're writing an episode, yes, there are several people in a room because it just makes it a lot better when there's a few more brains involved. Like, hey, this joke, what do you think of this joke? That joke is terrible. Okay, you're right. That is a terrible joke.
Sure.
Or if something's funny, everybody laughs right away, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, that really worked. That's funny. So having more minds in the room, I think, is great. You don't want to have too many minds in the room because that will sort of dilute it down too much, So we had like 4 or 5 writers, including myself. I lived in 2 worlds. I would write half the day and I would draw half the day with the artist. So there's very few. I'm sure there are a lot of show creators don't write and draw. I was doing both. And so, there's several writers in the room. And with Jimmy Timmy, we had the Jimmy Timmy writers. We had the Jimmy Neutron writers in the room. So we had 5 of their guys, 5 of my guys and girls and people. We're sitting there and we're like, okay, let's just start throwing ideas around. What could happen? And then it was great because they had a whole different sensibility about writing than we did. And so, but they're really high level people, really high level. And you're like, it's great to be in a room when someone can make your humor better. I was constantly learning from all my writers, all my artists. I worked with some super talented people. I was very blessed, always learning, always growing. And that's what you have to do as a creative person.
Did any struggles occur when you were creating a Fairly Odd movie, Grow Up Timmy Turner?
Good question, man. The only struggle on that was the fact I couldn't do everything I wanted because it was live action. And here's why. If I'm sitting at my drawing desk, I got my little pen, I got my little sketch pad right here. I want to have Timmy Turner make an elephant appear in his room. Boom, I just draw it. It's done in 5 minutes, right? But if in a live action movie, if I want to make an elephant appear, I got to get a camera crew. I got to get a dressing room. I got to get, a food truck. I got to get a sound stage. I got to get an elephant somewhere. Right. And I got to make all this stuff happen. And live action's way harder, in my opinion, than animation is. Animation's hard. Don't get me wrong. But to me, live action's a lot more challenging because you have to really make these physical objects show up.
Sure.
So we had to really cut down the magic in the live action shows. We couldn't do as many magical things as I wanted to, simply because the budget just wasn't super huge. It was a fine budget, but it wasn't huge. And how do you tell a creative story about magic without having to show a ton of magic? So that was the only challenge we really had.
Wow. Have you experienced burnout?
On occasion. I'm so psyched about what I do. I wouldn't say burnt out. I'd say I get tired, but I never get burnt out. You'll never hear me. This again, just me. This is me, Butch Hartman. Yeah. You'll never hear me go, I'm done. I need 6 months off. I will never do that.
Right.
And I can't imagine sitting down and doing nothing, or I guess as the earth calls it, relaxing.
Yeah, in the same way.
Other people, they're smarter than me and they relax. I just like to keep going myself. Because I just like coming up with stuff. I'm like, and if I'm going to sit by a pool, I'm going to be drawing anyway. If I'm going to sit by the beach, I'm going to be drawing anyway. I might as well draw something right now. So
Absolutely. Yeah, where you kind of almost have to force yourself to relax or take like an off day.
the
Wow.
Bible says, there's a scripture in the Bible that says you will labor to rest. That means you will actually work to rest. It's going to take you work to rest because, and we'll go back to the Bible real quick. God gave us a thing called the Sabbath, a day of rest where we're supposed to rest. We're supposed to take a day off and rest, but a lot of us don't, and we're supposed to. And I'm definitely guilty of that. That's why companies like Hobby Lobby take Sundays off. They want their employees to have a day of rest. And so maybe a lot of us should. I know I should take that advice myself.
Yeah, I'm in that category as well. Jack, you have one last question before you hop off. I do, yes. Are any of their characters or their quirks based on friends or family members? Sorry, he's on my left hand and he's usually on my right, so it's
I'm
really
definitely
throwing me off today. There we go.
I'm definitely going to base a character on Jackie now. I think I got to make.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone based on people I know? Not really. There's Dr. Rip Studwell is based on me. That's for sure. One of my designers designed his character design. I did not design that character, but they were like, "You got to do the voice." So I started doing Dr. Rip Studwell. So fun. I would say Vicky is kind of an amalgam of all the babysitters I had growing up, and Timmy Turner, I think, is me as a kid because Timmy Turner is very powerless around all the adults around him. And then Cosmo wanted to kind of give him power to get out of a situation. So I guess he's a little bit based on me. Danny Phantom was definitely based on me. I definitely was a nerdy kid, kind of insecure who really wanted to have superpowers. So I guess you could say it's a little based on me, but I wouldn't say completely.
Love Danny. Yeah, I asked because I've got these characters, and Jackie's based on some of these kids that I know that are ADHD or just kind of off the wall, and I have an old man character that
they have antlers too, right? Some kids with
they
antlers.
do. Yeah, it's crazy. They wear a hat to cover it, but yeah, they're furry, right? Yeah. But I've got an old man and some other characters that are based off of family members, and so it's interesting how sometimes you get a little quirk that you're like, that's a great idea, or that's great for a joke, or that's great for a
I get
character
it.
down the line.
Absolutely. I get it completely. And so no one really majorly, but a few little tiny things here and there, maybe.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me pop in. You're welcome. Bye, Butch.
Bye, Jackie. I wonder where he goes when you leave. Does he have a hole? Does he have
he burrows. he just, there's tunnels. And so he just, I'm going.
What's in those? Yeah, what's in those tunnels, Landon? We have no idea.
I don't, maybe that's a series.
There's a show idea right there. See, right there.
In the tunnels. I love it. Have you ever written a role in hopes that it would go to a specific celebrity?
Oh yeah, for sure. We have a character on the Fairly OddParents called Catman, who is basically based on Batman from the 1960s. Adam West played Batman, and I'm a huge Adam West fan. Rest his soul. But Adam was a wonderful guy, great sport. And he came in and did the voice of Catman for us, Timmy's hero Catman, and he was just great.
What's a piece of advice you'd tell someone wanting to follow in your footsteps today?
Wow. Well, I know this sounds cliche. I would just say not to give up. That's one piece of advice. The other piece of advice I would say is I would say try everything. Try everything that you can. If you really want to do something, you'll try everything. I meet so many people these days that say they want to try things and they don't, mainly because they're afraid of failing. We have to get rid of our aversion to failure. A lot of people, and listen, failing is terrible. I don't like to fail. Nobody likes to. But when you do fail, realize that it's only temporary. It's not forever. It's it's really not failing. It's actually learning. You're learning. Okay, don't do that again. Don't do that again. Let's do this, the right way next time. Or my first drawing I ever did wasn't the greatest drawing, but I kept going. I kept trying. Out of all the four shows I sold to Nickelodeon, there must have been about 20 or 30 other ones I pitched they didn't buy. So all of those shows are in a closet somewhere now. They're part of my I guess you'll say my bullets in my gun, because all of them are able to be made. But it wasn't for that time. It wasn't for those people. It'll be for the future. And rejoice in all your victories. Don't get a victory and then get overwhelmed by all the stuff you have to do. I would say rejoice in the victory, keep trying, and you're not failing. You're actually learning.
How do you do that? Because it seems like, I've experienced certain things where it's a victory, but you see everything that has to be done right after it, and you already feel like you're behind, even though you've met the victory. Do you just kind of have to pause and say, okay, I'm going to take this moment and hooray myself, and then this is how we're going to go on through this?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're going to have to really, you have to get nerves of steel, really. I mean, it's one of those things that some people are born with it and some people just acquire it. I mean, if you want to get into entertainment, by the way, this is for entertainment primarily, but there's other aspects of this you can take. Any job you're going to be in, there's going to be someone above you that's done it before, and they're going to teach you. And you're going to hopefully learn. Don't come in knowing everything. Come in with a humble attitude. Do not come in and be obnoxious, and always be nice to people, because the person that you're not nice to might end up running the studio someday and remember how not nice you were. Yeah, you might run a studio someday, so you need people to help you.
And where can people go to follow you and find out more about your work?
Well, thank you for asking me, man. Very professional, sir. I am on TikTok as Butch Hartman. You can follow me there. I got 2 million followers. You can follow me on Twitter at Fairly OddFather. You can follow me on Instagram at just Butch Hartman, and YouTube at Butch Hartman as well. And also go gardencartoon.com. We have a garden Instagram as well, the Garden Cartoon. So I'd love it if you could follow us over there. I really would appreciate it.
Absolutely wonderful. Butch Hartman, thank you so much for being on Landon Live and for sharing your story.
Thanks, bro. And I will be at the SAC Anime Comic Convention in April, Sacramento Anime. So I'll be there too, so you can find me there too. And awesome. Landon, thank you. Very professional, sir. I enjoyed meeting Jackie, and I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Likewise.
All the best with everything, sir.
Thank you. You as well.